afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Laughter After Trauma. Let's get the video going here. All right, here we are. So, I'm glad you guys could join us this afternoon. It's not my normal time for the show, but we are doing an extra special edition today, and we have Bad Bunny here as our guest. So you guys probably are familiar with my show. I am a speaker, educator, entertainer, and coach that brings light and lightness to a heavy topic, and that is the topic of trauma. We have all experienced this from time to time. I myself personally am a thriver from intimate partner violence, and that journey led me to finding the beauty and the laughter in healing. I think that laughter can be healing, but I also think that there is an after story, and that's what I like to get to see where people are now after they've come through some of these traumatic events in their life. I believe, like I said, we're all magic, right? We're all self-healers. And this show is meant to highlight and showcase everyday people who have triumphed in the face of trauma and provide hope, awareness, community, connection, and then, of course, share the laughter after. All right. So with no further ado, we have Bad Bunny here, and I'm going to give a brief introduction about him. He is a young man. And so, I think my last few guests, we're focusing on Mental Health Awareness Month this month. And my last few guests, because we're emphasizing the men in mental health, have been a little bit older. And so I think we're going to get a really cool, interesting perspective, because what we're going to talk about a little bit today in Bunny's journey is coming out of maybe a protected environment when you come through high school, especially raised in a private Catholic school, and then you go off to college, and then you wind up in a lockdown. And maybe you got lost. And so this is kind of where his story is going to take us. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that and just see where that journey led and whatever else Bunny decides to talk about. Because, for me, this is all about my guests. And so this is our chance to get to know him a little bit better and find out a little bit of information about his story. So that being said, Bunny, if you want to unmic, introduce yourself, tell us where you are, and then I want to ask you a couple of little questions to kind of break the ice, and then we'll get into your story.
Thank you, Deanna, for having me.
No, you're welcome.
Yeah.
So, where are you in the world, Bunny?
Where am I in the world? I'm in New York City right now.
Awesome.
The city that never sleeps.
Right. We talked a little bit earlier today on Instagram.
We did. We talked a little bit last night.
Yeah. On my Instagram Live, and you're just walking around showing us the city. So I love it. You're always kind of out and about.
Central Park.
Yeah.
Central Park. And, sometimes when I get stressed out, I just go for a walk in the park, like Central Park, which is right across the street.
Yeah.
And it's expansive enough for me to just kind of just walk. They also have a zoo there. It's nice.
Yeah, you can. Really clear your mind. I mean, movement is one of the best ways to release whatever it is that you're dealing with, and it's very good. Release some endorphins. It kicks up some dopamine. Good for you. Okay, so tell us a little bit, Bunny. I would like to know a couple of things. Do you have a family that lives near you in New York?
No, they're not in New York City. Mm-hmm. No. They're about a state away.
Okay. But close-ish.
Yeah.
Is your family a big family? Do you come from a big family? Do you have siblings?
I am the only child.
Oh, well, there you go.
Oh, boy. Here we go. We're starting with the hard-hitting questions already.
Piece of information to store away for later. Uh-huh. Okay, no, so that's fine. And do you actually have, what do you do for a career? So you're living in New York and you're on your own.
Yeah, I guess you could say I'm in the entertainment industry, but not the in front, if you would say.
Yeah. So behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's awesome.
I mean, who isn't in the entertainment industry in New York City? Everybody's doing something.
Well, some people are in the finance business there.
Yes, of course. But even that's entertainment.
Yes, you're right. So we're going to do a little icebreaker. I like to do this with my guests because it kind of, yeah, I don't know. I think when you do this, you get to know people a little bit, maybe a little something about, I don't know, what they're about when you hear about the this and that. And so I do this little question. We'll do maybe two of them. If you like this or that, and then, we'll see who relates to which one. Right. There you go. So let's start with this one. Are you a let's ice cream, chocolate or vanilla?
If it's one of the two, I'm a vanilla.
Okay. And if it were neither one of those, what would be your favorite ice cream flavor?
Birthday cake.
Birthday cake. Okay. So you like a little bit of almond something
No,
in
I
there.
like the
Right.
chocolate crunchies, that like blue frosting icing,
Uh,
and then the
okay.
vanilla that's like a distinct vanilla that's only birthday cake.
Right, because
And the
real
sprinkles.
yeah, gotcha. All right, cool. All right, and now, if you had to choose between living now, well, let's say vacationing, because
Okay.
you are where you are. New York is a pretty amazing place.
It is.
Vacationing, would you pick a mountain or a beach?
Mountain. I think you know me already. Yeah, mountain. The
Yeah.
highest peak that there is.
So, do you like hiking?
Snow.
Oh,
Yes.
snow.
I
All
love,
right.
I need to be in like sub zero temperature. That's where I
well,
thrive the most.
well, so what do you do in the summers in New York? Because it's pretty
Oh,
hot.
I'm actually going to be going away. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
there you go. You got to get out of there in the summertime if you don't like
Yes. Yeah.
heat. Woo, yeah. All right. Well, cool. Let's get into your story. We're not going to go too far back. I don't think.
Let's
I
start
don't
from the
know your
beginning.
age. Go. Well, all right. Go to the beginning. You start where
No,
you
I
want.
mean,
Tell us
let's
about
start
Bunny.
like a concise beginning.
Okay, do it. Let's hear a little
Just
bit about your past. I'd like to hear about
uh,
you growing up.
growing up, you know what? I'm not going to lie. I took my childhood for granted.
Hmm.
I think sometimes when you look back, it's like, oh, if only I knew then, you know,
Well, that's always
like
the
how
way,
good I
right?
had it. Yeah. So that's something I always look back at. It's like, oh, I should have been a little bit more behaved, if you will. I was always rambunctious and you know
So,
running
Bunny,
about.
were are your parents together? Are they still together
They
now?
are together. Uh,
Okay. S-
yes,
So, growing up as a child, you had
yes,
both
yes,
parents present, and
yes, yes.
so was that you're laughing? Was that good, bad? No, average? What are we
You
talking
know,
here?
here's the thing. I think the concept of marriage and having children now, present day,
Hmm.
is kind of confusing.
Why is that?
For me, because I see what it was. When I grew up, and I'm like, I don't see that anymore. Like
Hmm.
around,
Hmm.
I personally don't.
Yeah. So, did
Maybe it's
you?
my.
I think society changes. Do you think your parents modeled a loving relationship to you, and it's something you don't feel like you see a lot?
I don't see a lot about that. No, I see things that are very like contrived and more negotiable as
Hmm.
opposed to is this real love?
Right. Right.
And that's a
Um,
question that I even ask myself sometimes. Like having relationships when I was growing up and stuff. I
mhm.
never really could say. I think I had one. I think everyone could say that.
Yeah.
Throughout high school, you think you.
Well, I feel like at that age, I think it's a different. It's where you learn to be open and vulnerable with somebody, and you may not experience it again like that, but I also think it teaches you something. It teaches you something when we're younger, say high school age, and we feel like we've met the love of our life, right? And I think pretty much everybody has their high school sweetheart, right? um, that those ages really teach us something about being vulnerable, because at those ages we are so worried about acceptance and being part of a tribe and being together, that we are able to be open and form a friendship along with that relationship. And it can really break your heart when it ends. But if
Yeah.
you,
I
as
think we've
you,
all been,
right. But as you get a little bit older, you start to realize the things you might have learned from that relationship. So
but it does
take
hurt
us
to lose
through,
though. Like that
yeah,
falling into like trusting someone and feeling like you gave up years of your life into something only to find out in the end like what how did we get here?
right,
Like
right.
it like thinking about that kind of brings a tear to my eye because it started off great.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that happens. So, and I understand that because I married my high school sweetheart, who happened to be the person that I was in an abusive relationship with for 18 years. That's the marriage part. So I get what it feels like to say, wow, all this time, did I waste it? And I really think that we have to change our perspective sometimes on that, because everything we go through, at the very minimum, can be a learning experience and a way to grow. And I look at my time in that relationship, and even though it was not easy, um, and trust me, there were good times in that relationship just as much as they were bad, you know? So there were times that things were okay, but in the long run, I got my children out of that. I have amazing grandchildren out of that. And had I not been in that place, I'm not saying that I would choose that. What I am saying is I can look at it and still find some gratitude in it and know that I've managed to grow from there. And what came of that was not wasted. It wasn't wasted. And so hopefully that'll be something that, is good. It's
Yeah.
good. You'll grow too. So let's move forward from this. I mean, you said you told me you went to a Catholic school,
Yes,
right? Tell
yes.
us a little
I
bit
grew
about your
up
experience.
so I grew up in a Catholic school, the system,
Mhm.
and just getting into uniforms. So the idea of keeping up with the Joneses in terms of the latest kicks and stuff like that I hear about,
Mhm.
um, or I think I like the movie Clueless, where people like dress up for high school. That's not really what it was like for us.
Right.
We followed a dress code, and it was a really nice time. Like
Mhm.
everyone got along with each other. Now the demographic was not as open, if you know what I'm saying. Like being Catholic, it was like a set demographic of people that I
Mhm.
was around, and coming out of that into the real world, it's like, oh, people come in all different, shapes, sizes, and religions and ethnicities and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And that was an experience. It wasn't a shock, but it was like eye wondering, like, wow.
Right. So growing up, I would guess that in a private and Catholic school, that you probably had a somewhat sheltered
You know,
upbringing.
I don't want to use the word naive to things. I learned fast. I learned very fast.
Right.
Uh,
Well, so when you come out, there's a little bit of a culture shock, is
that's
maybe what
yeah.
is a way to
For
put it.
me, it wasn't a shock. It was like wow. Like I was just like all
Mhm.
starry eyed about everything. Like wow, this is amazing. Like I'm on my own.
Okay. So when you came out of high school, what was did you have a really good core group of friends when you were in high
Yes,
school?
yes. I still keep in contact with my best friend and
Good,
my
good, good,
friends.
good,
Yeah.
good. And so tell me what it was like after you came out of high school, because it seems like high school was a decent experience
It
for
was
you, even
great.
if you were somewhat sheltered.
Yeah.
And then you came out into the real world. That was a little bit of an adjustment. Tell me
Yes.
how that adjustment went.
So it was like I was a big fish in a small pond,
Hmm.
high school, and that's all I knew. I was like, oh. because high school is like the center of the universe for me. It's like, oh wow, like. But then after that, like I graduated and stuff, and I was like, okay, what now?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was already making plans to go to college, which I did. I applied and everything. I knew what was going to happen in September, but it was that summertime that that I was going into, that I was like, okay, what's going to happen?
Mm-hmm. So, were you still living at home with your parents for the summer between
No,
that
I
high school and college?
no, I actually went away on holiday and then came back, got my stuff, and was off to school.
Okay. Okay.
And
So what year was that?
that was
20,
2019.
okay. And so tell us, give us your story. I know you told me you had some trouble after adjusting because 2019, we know, like
Yeah.
if you started school in 2019, we know exactly what happened in 2020.
Yes. So,
So,
yeah. So in 2019, October 2019, I was in school and everything, and it was great. I mean, I was like wowed by everything, just like because it was a big experience. It was like huge,
hmm
like there were people, just different types of people. It was not your like run of the mill whatever's going on, you know.
hmm
But it was an adjusting, like getting around and sharing a living space, you know what I mean, like a dorm and stuff, and that
right.
was that was different. And I actually got sick in October of 2019,
Okay.
just yeah, with what I we all perceive, it was a foreshadowing of what was coming.
Okay.
So yeah, because I never felt that way before.
Okay.
um, so then I was good after like a couple of days, thank goodness.
hmm
And then moving on, I had something of an expectancy in November, at the end of November, Black Friday, and that changed my life.
I,
And
I'm not sure I understand what an
okay,
expectancy is. Can you
I
expound?
expected my son.
Okay. Oh,
Yes, son. This is when I became a single
oh,
father.
okay.
More, I know.
When
So
you
just
say
adding
expectancy,
more
literally,
to the
okay.
mix,
I didn't know if
more
you
to
met.
the mix,
Got you. Okay. All right. Go ahead.
and then being single and doing that in December was depression. Like I felt like, how am I going to do this?
Mm-hmm.
Scared,
Right. I can.
juggling college, work, and who's going to help me?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and then I finally folded up, and around Christmas time, I asked my family to help me, and
Okay.
my mother and father did.
Okay. So, in that situation, um, did you leave school? When you say you asked them to help you,
No, I didn't
were you with?
leave. I still
Go ahead.
stayed. I just was, I'm not going to lie, it was not a fun time. Like it was
Okay.
Christmas time. Everyone was partying, having fun. And I was here, like any free time I had wasn't out there. It was like reading books, having a kid in one arm,
Mm-hmm.
and then just like what do I do?
Mm-hmm.
What do I do?
Okay.
Yeah, so then that was about 20 days, and then I finally asked my mother for help.
Okay.
But those
So
20 days felt like an eternity.
okay.
I know no one will
I need
understand that. People are going to say, "Oh, it was just 20 days."
no, no, no,
It
no, no,
felt
no, no. Listen, nobody here is going to judge or say what you went through was not valid. Nobody. And that's just not where we are. That's not how we work here. Um, but I need to rewind just 1 second because you said in December you had a baby in your arms. So this pregnancy happened while you were in high school?
in well, yes.
Okay.
unbeknownst to me.
Right. Okay.
Yes. So then I found out last minute,
Okay.
and she wanted nothing to do with it. So
So she had the baby, and then you were left with the responsibility of
yes,
caring for the
yes,
baby. Mom exited the scene.
yes,
Okay, got it.
with
Trying to
paperwork
paint.
and everything.
Okay,
So, and was
okay,
found a sound of mine when she wrote over her custody,
okay,
and yeah,
okay, okay. All right. So you find yourself at this point in your life, probably somewhere between 18 and 19 years old, a single father, is basically what you're saying. Just after starting college, first semester, coming into Christmas, and here you are overwhelmed in a situation that you didn't even have the typical, say, 7 months to prepare for. Let's just say it takes a couple months to figure out you're pregnant, but you didn't really have that prep time to even get yourself emotionally ready for the situation. It was kind of just
no,
dropped
I
in
had
your
30 days. I
right.
had like 30 days.
Okay.
I had from Halloween, or not even after Halloween, to then, and there were also some bizarre things that happened around that time.
Oh, okay. Do you want to go into it?
I will go into it briefly, but
Okay.
being in the city and stuff, I actually experienced how unsafe it was if you don't know the right people to hang out with.
Mhm. Okay.
So that's something else, just
Okay.
being careful about your people, places, and things, because
Okay.
that will lead you into, getting to know your tribe and stuff.
Mhm.
That will either lead you in the right direction or down a direction where you could possibly lose.
Okay. All right. So at this point in December, you reach out
Yeah.
to your parents for help, and they agree to help you.
Well, yeah, they
Um,
said, "Why didn't you let us know sooner?" Yeah, and I was over here fronting like, "Oh, I can handle it." I
well,
really couldn't.
right. And I think that all of us would like to say that we can handle things. We want to, especially when we're just venturing out on our own, we want to be able to take those things on. But in life, we're not really meant to do it alone. So, so your parents step in and they help. So, what was the form of help that they gave? Are they caring for your son while you
Yes,
go
they
back to
are.
school? Okay.
Yes, yes.
So, so you get through that semester. Do you go back into school in
I go
2020?
back in January 2020,
Okay.
like feeling good, refreshed, good to go, and then March comes. Everybody go home. Here's an
Hmm.
iPad and a laptop. Don't Zoom us. We'll Zoom.
Right. Right. So at this point, you probably were no longer able to live in the dorm either. So when
No,
you say go home, you went to your parents.
I did not
Okay,
actually.
where'd you go? Okay,
I
where'd you go? Let's hear it.
I got my own place.
Okay.
Yeah, so and
Okay. So in
got
New
my own
York, it's
place.
not cheap. So tell us
No, I
about
mean, I that's what I hear, right?
right.
That's what I hear.
Okay. So tell
Yeah,
us how you manage that.
I got into some, the entry level of the work that I do now in the
Okay.
entertainment field and stuff. So
Okay.
yeah, and I really thought that we were going to, and it was because of staying home that I was able to. I was like, I had all this time,
Mm-hmm.
so what else could I have done?
Right.
Because
Okay.
going physically to school and stuff was um, time impeding, if you
Right.
will.
Yeah, it's time consuming. Okay.
Yeah. So
So
now
you
everything
can
was done from home. I found that you can do a lot from home.
okay. Right, right. So you continued your studies, but you also managed to start in your career at this
Yes, I
time.
started in my career and other endeavors
Okay.
in show business and stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay. So did you complete your year of school for 2020 for that,
Yes.
entire college?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Good. And then you come to the summer. now in 2020. Tell us, kind of just keep moving
Yeah.
forward because, did you go back to
So I
college
did,
in
yeah,
fall?
and
Okay,
still
good.
currently. So
Okay.
the thing is this, when this whole thing was happening, I thought, okay, we're going to be back in April. We're going to be back in May. We're going to be back in June. And then I was taking the accelerated summer courses online because they were available.
Mm-hmm.
Why not, right? Cut my time in half.
Sure.
And now comes the summertime, and I'm like, well, what are we going to do? There's nothing to do.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing to do.
Right.
And this is when I started having one too many mimosas just to get through my day
Mm-hmm.
because there
Mm-hmm.
was nothing to do.
Right.
So now by September, I had already fell like knee deep in, um, staying up all, I felt like there was no set structure or schedule, and I was not well,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense. I don't think anybody really was well.
Right. I don't think so either. And you found yourself in a place of unknowing and
Uncertainty is,
uncertainty, which
yes.
mhm. And so, I mean, that I think that did a lot to everybody. I mean, because of course, at the beginning of the pandemic, we all heard, just stay home for 2 weeks, and it kept growing. And then there were states like New York that were hit so hard, and so the rules there were pretty strict because they were so worried about spreading. And so I can see where you went from something that was a place that was alive, just the even place, the beat, the heartbeat of the city,
Yes. To a
and you went from a
standstill. Ghost
right
town.
to a exactly, because I know, because I live in New Orleans, and even though we're not New York, we are a place that's full of music and culture and never sleeps. And when this hit, even now, it's still not the same. It's coming along, but it is slow going, and it feels heavy, hard.
Yeah,
So
it does.
you found yourself in a place where you were escaping with alcohol at the time. did
Yeah,
did that grow? Did that
it
compound?
did. It
Okay.
did. I got into, other stuff, um, and, smoking and things like that, thinking I was cool, partying with, other peers and
Mm-hmm.
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because back then, even though it said, "Oh, no, no gatherings," we had gatherings. Teenagers, college kids, they still had gatherings. Nobody just heard. Nobody knew about it though. That's the thing. You know how it is.
Right, sure. You
They're
just
gonna
do
get
it in a
away
private home. I mean, who's
someplace. They're gonna do it someplace, and
mm-hmm.
so a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people got in trouble for that. We
No,
we we had to keep it like a very covert mission to like hang out and party and stuff like that. And
mm-hmm.
um, then around October, I remember the day. It was the 23rd of October, and I really just hit hard in a dark place. And
Mm-hmm.
this is when I became Bad Bunny.
Okay.
I went onto an application thinking it was for uh, editing my WAV files, which is a music file,
Mm-hmm.
to an MP3 stereo format.
Mm-hmm.
So I could send it to somebody on Snapchat or something.
Okay.
And I got into this application, and I was thrown into this room where everyone was just sharing their music and like, leaving little, like, just like this, like, people, there were two people talking, and then there were just people leaving messages, and it was different. I was like, okay, what is going on here?
Uh-huh.
And it was the middle of the night. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning. And I was like, wow. And I felt embraced because everyone heard my music and they wanted to hear more. And they were like, wow.
Mhm.
I became addicted to that, and that's when I became the the whole persona, if you will.
Right.
And
Okay.
so then 3 days later, while being on that application, is when I realized how foolish I was,
How'd you
how
realize that?
naive I was.
Mhm.
I was paired up with someone because there was an application that pairs you up with people randomly, and uh, he made me feel terrible about who I am and things like saying just getting on me. He was of a different ethnicity. Like that's not saying anything terrible, but he was making it seem he was just using a lot of derogatory terms towards me that I never heard about. And then this is when the beginning of what I later found out was cyberbullying. I
Mhm.
never knew that to be a thing. I never knew bullying
Mhm.
towards me. I never experienced that. I've probably seen teasing in school, but
Right.
cyberbullying is on a whole another level
Mhm.
of scary, damaging, mentally damaging, and really drove me into another despair.
Okay.
But yeah, so take.
Yeah. And so I want to, say too that you're finding yourself in this place again like just a year later. Like you've come a full year later and then you're finding yourself in this low place, but to add to the low place, you had kind of because of the pandemic and already kind of maybe getting a little depleted already and using some substances to cope, but now you're also going to a different level of despair. And so I'm wondering how the substances played into that. You don't have to answer it right this second. I'm going to say hi to some people in the audience and then we're going to get back to your story. So I just want to let everybody know, after we're finished this, Bunny's story, if you guys have questions and so forth, we welcome you to hit the little plus sign, come up and speak and, talk with us, chat, give us whatever input, maybe 15, 20 minutes from now. So welcome, Sonia, Patrick, Elizabeth, Judy, Rowan, Seth. I hope I said your name right. Reen, Susan, Bunny, Truthful Sweet, Ron, Marwan, Deborah. Appreciate you guys being here listening in on this story. It is pretty intriguing. Um, Okay, so hey Brian, welcome. So Bunny, let's pick up from here. So we're in October of 2020. Now you're recognizing that you are being cyberbullied.
Yeah,
Tell me what happens
which
after this.
so after this, we're now going into the election time, and that was something I was just like, I really just prefer to stay out of this one, you guys. I'd have no comment on this, and that I was witnessing people getting torn apart from that,
Hmm.
getting attacked on Twitter and things like that, on Instagram, and it drove families apart. And, I mean, you've seen it, we know it, whatever. But
Right.
the cyberbullying, it became more creepy, if you
Okay.
will, because by the end of that month is when I realized how vulnerable I was, how open I was with people, and how I wanted to just trust people,
Uh huh.
and how I put so much faith in humanity. And I can't give up on them, because I am part of humanity, so I don't want to
Right.
give up on that. But one thing I asked myself is like, we're in the real world, and these are people that are adults.
Hmm.
Like, if you're 21 and over, or 18 and up, even, you're considered an adult. Like,
Hmm.
25 to 35, 35 to 45, you're an adult.
Hmm.
Why pick on someone who's like 20, 21?
Hmm.
Why? I
Hmm.
didn't understand that.
Yeah.
Why say all these terrible things about them that isn't even true, just because of what?
Yeah. It's vulnerability, not that you're being vulnerable, it vulnerability in the sense of they think that you're young and they can take advantage. Maybe that's
It
part of it. So
don't make sense.
it doesn't. I get it. Okay. So take us from there. Did you do something? Did you report it? What happened?
So then by the end of December, I had already established a friendship with someone who I thought was somebody normal. I mean, but what is normal? Just somebody who wasn't, you know, um, I don't know, unstable, I guess. Because, she was a female who was like 40 years old
Mm-hmm.
from Kansas, Missouri,
Mm-hmm.
has two kids and a husband, and I'm thinking, oh, okay, she's a good person.
Mm-hmm.
Then out of nowhere, she starts making death threats
Oh.
and tells everyone on this platform what a terrible person I am.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what's going on? To the point where I got banned and I
Oh.
didn't understand why. No, I know.
So you were blindsided by this, and then
Yes, I
somehow
didn't.
you were the one that actually got banned
Yes,
from the
from
app,
some
not the
application.
person who's doing the bullying.
No.
Okay.
And
Oh, that's
then
hmm,
this is when I know that's intense and really invested. And that's when I and two friends of mine
mhm,
emailed the application and was like, "Oh, what's going on?"
right.
And they explained, and then we had to flourish proof of the bullying
Hmm.
and stuff, which I had, and I was like, "Okay, this is nonsense. I really don't want to do this, but here you go."
Right.
And I was reinstated.
Okay.
But the bullying didn't end there. It
Okay.
got more intense because then
By the same
this is
person.
when, yes, but
Okay. So it
now
continued.
it
Okay.
continued, and there was another person who was already unstable because online you don't know who you're talking to.
Right.
Yeah. And I mean, I we do here. We're safe here, but that
Yeah.
application, they were just hiding behind these talking avatars. Was
Okay.
kind of creepy, but anyway,
It
and
lends
that's when
itself, it's another way that we have to be so cautious because it lends itself to even more obscurity, so you don't know. And by the way, Deborah, she laughed, and I don't know if you're reading the comments. She said, I hit my finger hit the button. I didn't mean to laugh. That was an inopportune time.
honestly
Sorry,
it was the
Deborah.
perfect time.
Broke the ice a little bit. That's
What's
fine.
that?
It broke the ice a little bit. We're in laughter after. Feel free to laugh.
Yeah, no, I know, but Deborah, she knows what I'm talking
Anyways, right. So you were reinstated. The bullying continued.
about. Yes.
How so ultimately how did you extricate this? What happened?
Well, before that, and then after that, I guess, someone who was already unhinged had was paired up with me and told me, "Oh, I heard about you," and I'm like, "Okay."
Uh,
And then I know. Then I took him offline. I was like, "What's going on?" I mean, that's when I was like, "What is going on?"
I like it. I like it.
And then he told me he was paid by the stalker to find out my information and to attempt to kill me in real
Oh.
life.
Oh.
And that's when
So this
things got
person admitted
extremely
this to
serious.
you.
Yes, he did.
Oh
Yes, he
boy.
did. And that's
Okay.
still on archive on that other application under my name, under my previous talks. So that was scary.
Wow.
I know. And
So
then
he
that's
said
when I was
that
like,
to you in a
yeah.
private conversation, or he said it right
He
there on
said
the
that
app?
he said it on the app, and then that's when I took him on the private conversation because this
Oh,
is when I had to get the authorities involved.
right.
And that's scary. That's really creepy and scary
Yeah. Okay.
because that was wasted time for me in itself. Like I had to like give my whole information and everything, and this person now knew my well, they already knew my full name because I trusted them.
Mm.
I gave them my address. I gave them my phone number. I gave them my
Oh
mother's
no.
workplace.
Oh
And then
no.
this woman called my mother.
Oh.
I know. It was so
Mm.
creepy. But then this brings me back to my initial question. Aren't we all adults? Why is this happening? I don't.
Me either. I would like to understand why people hack computers and steal Instagram profiles and
Scam
target
artists. Yeah.
people. Right. Like, why? I don't know. I don't understand. I do believe that there are people out there that I would like to say, hey, maybe they're not stable, they're not all together. And then maybe there are people out there who are really just
I
evil.
can't
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question.
believe in evil, though.
It's
I can't do that.
Okay. Well, you
I
grew up
like to see the
Catholic,
good.
so
Okay,
I
this is when
mean,
Barbara's going to laugh.
right? Because I mean,
I mean,
hell and
Deborah, oh my
Satan and
gosh.
all of this stuff. How do you not? How do you not believe that there could be evil? I mean,
You know, I'd like to believe the best.
I would like to believe the best too, but it is naive to think or to believe that evil doesn't exist, because it does. If it didn't exist, you wouldn't have sex trafficking. These things wouldn't be real things. You wouldn't have perpetrators. And I'm not saying that some of these individuals aren't sick individuals that need help and need healing, but there are individuals who are not necessarily capable of healing. Call it whatever you want.
That's a scary thought in
Yeah.
itself. And see, that's more things that I'm naive to, and I'm blind
Right.
to a lot of things still.
Right. No, and
But you
I'm
bring up a valid point with that.
okay. So where are you in this journey? So we're moved into 2021 now, and in
Yeah.
this journey, I'm curious as to where you are in the substance abuse.
Oh, yeah. I'm 1 year sober. I haven't drank or smoked or done anything
Okay, well,
in
that's now.
1 year.
So you quit
Yes.
sometime in 2021. You
I
realized that you were
quit
spiraling. Give me your date.
on May 5th.
Oh, Cinco de
Cinco de
Mayo.
Mayo. Yes, because of I had a toothache.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Yeah.
the toothache, and you
Thank you.
decided, I'm done with this. I got to
I'm
stop.
done. I want to settle down and just get the help that I need, and that's what I'm doing.
Okay. Okay.
So
And
it's been
let
a
me
year.
ask you just real quick, if you wouldn't mind sharing with us, what
Hmm.
help are you getting at this point? Do you have a counselor? Do you have
I do.
therapist?
I
Okay.
do that too.
Okay.
Like I do it all. I do
Good.
it all. Peer
And I know,
advocates,
oh,
change a
good.
lifestyle, like removed people that are not on the same, that aren't ready to, you know, be about that kind of life right now. And
Hmm.
that's fine that they choose to do what they do. It's just that that's not where I am,
Okay.
so I can't tell someone to do what they want to do. No one can tell me what to do. I
No.
wanted to. I wanted
Uh,
to live a sober and clean life. And but here's the thing, Deanna, that I
tell me.
struggled with, and
Hmm.
that is where I'm at now, is
Hmm.
laughing. Being
Okay.
able to come on to this application and laugh and do talks, I didn't think I could do it
Hmm.
because because I needed a drink, or I
Hmm.
needed to be high on something, I need
Hmm.
to be the life of the party,
Hmm.
I need to just act the fool.
Hmm.
But I realized that I can do music. I can make music without having a method to the madness.
Hmm.
Because, like we were saying earlier, your husband's a musician, you would
Hmm.
understand there's a formula to creativity sometimes. And
Hmm.
I was choosing the wrong formula for that.
Right, right.
I now understand who I am sober, and I'm still understanding that every single day.
Right. And that's a learning process in and of itself. So bravo, because it takes a lot to really discover who you are as a person. But here's something I do want to say to you, because we all run into trouble. We all make bad decisions. We all do things that at the end of the day, if we were faced with that decision again, maybe we wouldn't make it that same decision. But at the end of the day, like I said earlier, we grow and we learn from these things. But the one thing that I want you to keep in mind, because Bunny, I'm not trying to belittle, you are still young, right? Um, because these time zones and time frames that we're talking in, you haven't hit 25 yet. Okay. And so when I think about that and talking to you, I want you to always remember this saying in your head. We may stay in each other's lives and we may be in our life for a season because of meeting here and go our separate ways from some time from now. Who knows what our paths are? Where you are is just where you are. It's a place. It's not who you are. And as long as you can remember that in life and separate where you are from who you are, you're going to be okay, because you have a lot of learning and growing still ahead of you. As a matter of fact, at age 25, before you probably actually have that prefrontal cortex, just close up that gap and you get all your reasoning abilities and all your synapses are connecting. And we can get into all kinds of science, and you probably know a lot of it. You're not quite even there yet, much less, being able to grasp everything because of maybe some of the shelteredness that you had growing up. And so now you're finding yourself in a new world. And not only are you finding yourself in a new world, you're finding yourself in a post-pandemic world. So you've had to find yourself, and I feel this. I feel this for your entire generation. People who didn't get to have graduation because they were in the middle of that, or people who um, missed out on some of those experiences in life that might be teaching experiences like proms and stuff. Like, you didn't miss that. You had that because you were able to finish high school. You went into your first tastes of freedom were in a lockdown. It's just, it's not the way we are created to be able to develop properly. So it's going to take some change, it's going to take some courage, it's going to take a lot of introspection to get to know yourself. But I just want you to keep that saying in mind. Where you are is just where you are, it's not who you are. And as long as you can remember that, then you can give yourself grace and move forward and keep moving. So that's all I have to say right there. I'm just going to get off my little soapbox, but I felt like I needed to say it. Okay. So we have people making some comments down here. I'm going to go ahead and read some of the comments. Okay, so awesome. Deborah said, I got clean and sober at 30. It was the best thing I've ever done. I love that. So she went from Studio 54 to clean and sober. Now that's a story. Okay. So good. Truthful Sweet said she needed that speech, so thank you. Okay. Um, and Deborah's saying, I totally identify with you, when it comes to getting sober and just understanding your method differently when you're sober and knowing yourself. So I love that. I would love, Bunny, do you have more that you want to wrap up? While I say, people, you guys can start coming up to the stage while we're talking,
Yep.
but I would love to add people up onto the stage that might have
Come
questions
on
or
down.
comments or anything else. Deborah's coming. Hey, Deborah.
Well, of course I'm coming because
Of course you
it's
are.
brave, it's courageous. It's I joke around a lot. I understand the feeling that you're two different people. When something really horrible happens to you, that happened to you, that is that is like that shakes you to the core. Number one,
Mhm.
I understand your bravery and your confusion about being in a situation with a child, not 30 days. I mean, this whole story was like me listening to myself. It's not the same circumstances, but it's the same feelings.
Mhm.
and not knowing what to do in situations, thinking like, what? Why is humanity like this? I believed in you, all that stuff. And for me, I was such an overachiever that I drank and drugged to be private. I was the life of the party. I was doing this and that, and it was no problem for me to be out there. I'm a performer. But then, in order to live with myself at those wee hours of the morning at 2 and 3 a.m., when I'm alone and hear those horrible committee in my head saying shit to me,
Mm.
that is why I decided I can always stop, but I can't stay stopped. And that is why I decided to ask for help too. And your story about asking for help in many ways is so inspiring. Whether you can laugh at it now, it's so fresh, is another story. But Deanna, thank you for having Bunny on the show, because I need to hear these stories, because I've been sober for a long time, okay? And sometimes I need to hear the beginning of sobriety like this, because it helps me to stay sober. So thank you so, so much.
Thanks, Deborah, for jumping up. And honestly, Deborah, I know that you have a series you're doing with Stephanie, but I'd love to have you on the show and get some of your pointers on laughter and how you get to the laughter after, because here you are from an experience on the other side of it. And so I'd love to hear that. I think your story is probably just as, dynamic. I know I've heard some of it and I'm just mind blown.
Yeah, anytime, because that was my career story, but there's also a drinking and drugging story. And
Yeah, let's
so
do
I
it.
absolutely will.
Okay, cool. I'll hit you up. So with that, I want to say, Bunny, how do you feel when you hear Deborah share how encouraging it is for you to be able to share the beginning of your story and how you've reached out and how you're really working on yourself? How do you feel about that?
It's um, it's I'm still like kind of like getting used to like, is this me being brave?
Mm,
Because it's scary to put your stuff out there online. But
right.
I look up to Deborah because she does. She's Deborah Barsha.
Barsha.
There's no mistaking
That's right.
it.
And look,
And
it is brave.
it is. But it's also scary for when you're just starting out and it's like, oh, everyone, this is really what was going on, and nobody had a clue.
Hmm.
Nobody knew.
And here's the thing, brave is always scary, pretty much, you know, because, we think of vulnerability as weak. We especially, and I like to bring this up for mental health, for all of us. Vulnerability is a scary place to be because we're open. It leaves you open to be hurt. It leaves you open to be taken advantage of. So, but also in the arena of talking about the places that you've been, all of it takes courage. It's not a weakness. And when we talk about it for men in particular, where girls may be a little bit more prone or encouraged to be emotional, or it's acceptable to be emotional by society, whatever it is, and for men, somehow that was taboo. And now we're coming around to a place where we recognize that that hurt and that it's become a generational issue. And it's one of the reasons why I bring this with the mental health awareness for men this month, is specifically because of that. And I'm glad that you reached out and just pushed me and said, no, you need my story.
I
And
did. I
yes, you
did.
did. And I'm
And I was
glad
coming
you
off obnoxious at first. I was like, oh, you need me more than I need you.
but
That was
look,
funny.
Bunny, to be honest with
But
you,
that's the
I didn't.
character. That's the character. And then you were like, you know what? It's not about a fame game or trending for you. And I was like,
Right.
oh yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I get it. You have people that follow you or whatever. I don't know. For me, this is not for me, it's about bringing value. It's about bringing true stories. And when we talked like today early, we talked about truth, trust, and tribe, right? And we want to hear your truth. We want to create trust in this community. In my particular podcast, that's what it's about. And we want to create a tribe. where people know that they are safe and they are accepted, and that you can feel not alone in this space.
And you told me earlier that's the part that I'm working on and missing is the trust.
And it is, and you're building it. You will build it. You will, and you're going to start, because of your experiences, you're going to start recognizing the patterns. I want you to just be aware and conscious. You'll recognize those patterns, and then it'll tip you off. And trust your feelings. Trust your intuition. I know you want to believe everybody is good. Trust your intuition when you get that little bit of a, I don't know, trust it. Proceed with caution. Brian, did you have something to say? I see you up here. I want to welcome you to the stage. Feel free to unmic. Do you have a question, a comment? Tell us what you got.
Thank you so much, Deanna. And yeah, um, while I've never been a heavy drinker, uh, I I uh, I do want to uh, verbally congratulate Bunny on 1 year of sobriety, of being sober, and also Deborah on maintaining sobriety as well. Um, and yeah, I mean, I can relate to the topic laughter after trauma in the sense that of what I went through with childhood. I know that you guys mentioned the prom earlier. I never actually got to go to a prom, um, and I went through not having much community, um, and or true community, and feeling like my voice wasn't heard as much. It led to some, I wouldn't call it depression, but I would say that definitely depressed feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I will say that I watched the nighttime news too much. It really messed my mind up to the uh, to very bad points. Um, that that thankfully I'm over. I I now am in a place of just being faithful and spreading love to everyone. Um, and I mean, I've provided vulnerability on social media just with the reels that I record and talking about my own journey of autism. So, uh, so it's a way to uh, have a little bit of laughter after that childhood trauma,
Yeah.
and also to laugh at the some of the times where the not so perfect moments with my parents, like an argument. So it's it's uh, it's really cool, and as long as we continue to have each other's back, um, then that's what it's about. I mean, I don't focus on people just being in for a season. I focus on people being in for the long term in terms of when our paths cross for the first time. So that's what I have. And thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for your input, Brian. I appreciate it. I like your share. I also, just like you said, I don't ever focus on people just being in my path for a season. But even though I don't focus on that, sometimes that is out of my control. But I do like the fact that you have found your laughter. And I think that shows the good side of social media as well. There is a bad side, and there are people who may prey on others. But there is also a side that wants to reach out, wants to connect, and wants to be like this. And I'm wearing a shirt today. It says, I don't know if you can see it. It says love heals. And to honestly, let's bottom line it. To me, that is the bottom line. Love heals. And so whenever you can avail yourself of a space that's loving, then you're going to find yourself in a healing place. Um, so Bunny, I have
Yes.
another question for you. Did you have something to say? You wanted to add something?
Well, I okay. No, let's hear the question first.
No, I think you better go first.
I was gonna say we have something from Deborah Barsha,
Which we got?
and we have a request. I think that this would be perfect. So take it away, Deborah.
What's that? Something by Elton John?
Oh my God.
70s?
I did not request that.
This
Stop.
this is Bunny's laughter after.
Deborah Barsha is my hero.
I just,
Okay.
I was,
Wait, pause it
oh
for a
my God.
second.
I can't. Oh my god, I'm
I was
serious.
stuck in an Elton John loop. That's what I do. You know, I'm a musician for a living. I make a living at music, and luckily I have that. And there's somebody else in the audience who I saw, Seth, down there,
Uh-huh.
I watched the show of it. You know, we're lucky with music, Bunny. You talk about music because we really can put so much into our songwriting. We can put so much into. It's just a place for laughter and joy. And I hear I oh jeez. Okay. Bunny has to laugh now because he told a very traumatic story. So
Yeah,
Bunny has to laugh. Let's let him laugh now. But I
Laugh
do
it up.
understand your thing about music too. And by the way, everybody, I did not request myself just now.
Oh Lord, Bunny. So
I
here's
know
my
exactly
question.
what she's thinking. She's thinking,
What is going on?
I have no idea. Oh my god,
All right, so Bunny, I have a
I love
question for
it.
you. Yesterday, you said to me that you're leaving the app, you're leaving Instagram. Are we in a
Um,
better place today?
we're, you know what? After this talk, I'm gonna be we're gonna talk about that.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
Stay
So,
tuned.
okay, let's stay tuned. You don't have to answer it right now. I just want you to see the love here and
Yeah.
maybe you stick around.
I
I don't
didn't
know.
think
So,
that was
okay.
gonna be published. Honestly, I thought she would go into editing,
Oh,
and
yeah, you know Wendy is not going to do
I
that. It's
heard it,
out there.
and I was like, wait a minute. Here's the thing,
No,
though. That was real time.
it
That
was
was
real
real
time.
time as it was
This is
happening,
live, people.
and no, yeah, it was, and Wendy only does live. And as that happened, I went back to listen. I was like, oh my gosh. And I left my phone at home, put on my shoes, went out into Central Park in the middle of the night, and just started running. Just started running.
How did that feel?
You know, eventually those tears just turned to diamonds,
Right.
honestly.
Sometimes it feels like
And
you're like, you know,
I know
I don't.
sometimes you just I don't I hate saying this right now because it makes, but sometimes crying, it doesn't feel good sometimes, but it does feel good.
So don't hate saying it because it's a release. And I think that let me tell you when you know you're really releasing, okay? When you're crying and maniacally laughing at the same time or intermittently, like you're just bawling, crying, and then you're like, like a crazy person.
I
That is that is really the best release that you could possibly have. It's pulling and your running is doing that for you too. And it's why it helps you process through it because it's pulling everything that is pent up, it's pulling it out. It is processing it out. You don't have to process it by talking about it all the time. You don't have to process it by dredging it up. Sometimes you can process it by just literally physically pulling it out and pouring it out. Pouring it out of your eyes, pulling it out of your body, and allowing that to happen. But you have to allow it. You can punish yourself with exercise or you can release yourself with exercise. So you just have to make sure that that's what you're doing. And it sounds like that's kind of what you did yesterday. So that's amazing.
With the
Okay,
amount of food I eat, I'm gonna have to exercise.
forever. You're going to be exercising until you're 80 because you eating cereal and ice cream, birthday cake ice cream. I mean,
Steak
if
for
that doesn't make you
days. Yeah.
laugh, steak for days. There you go. All right. Well, does anybody else want to come up and ask any questions? Usually Ron pops up here. I mean, I'd
Yeah.
like to
Why
say
have we
Woody,
not
but
heard from Ron? Let's just invite him up.
right. Come
Come on
on.
down.
Come on, Ron. Oh, I should have made you a producer, money, and I actually didn't think about that. I'll invite him. There he
Oh,
is.
hold on.
He did it. He
Hello,
did it.
Ron.
Here he is.
Ron, it's good to have you here from Rev McKeenis. Now, I see that I don't really do the Twitter thing too much, but
Yeah, I noticed, and but the thing about this whole, I assumed that Bunny was my age because of the way he knows certain popular culture references,
Mm-hmm.
knows lyrics of songs. So first of all, kudos for being so intelligent and well informed at such a young age. I mean, I was
Mm-hmm.
shocked when I heard this. I couldn't believe it. Uh, your story was fascinating, and it was fascinating, and but also so much life has already been packed into such a short amount of time, or experiences within like a three-year experience.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just, and also last night I want to apologize. I really thought, because all I know him for is a lot of laughter, kind of making fun of things. And so when I heard him upset, I thought he was joking. I thought he was acting. So
Mm.
I said, yeah. And so,
Right. I
and
was
so
almost the same. I was like, "Are you for real?" But then I kind of knew he was for real, and I was like, "What is happening?"
and
And then
so
me and
just
Wendy looked at each other and said, "We got to go."
and then yeah. And so and so but I just want to apologize for that, Bunny. And yeah.
So,
And so
Ron,
No
can
need
I ask?
to apologize.
Ron, can I ask you a question?
sure.
Where are you in the world? Where are you from?
Augusta, Georgia.
Okay. Because I keep going, this accent sounds like my cousins and
Yeah.
they live in Georgia.
Well,
And I'm like, what is up with this accent?
well, Deanna, I don't know how I know this. Maybe you mentioned it. You live in Lafayette?
No, I live in New Orleans. I don't live in
Oh,
Lafayette.
oh,
I have a good friend of mine who lives in Lafayette, and we do Instagrams together. So maybe if you popped into that, she's in
must have been
Lafayette.
that. Yeah,
Yeah. Um, we do that on Fridays, but she's in Lafayette, but I don't have a Lafayette accent. I'm totally got a New Orleans accent. So,
that's right. Because see, for about a week, I went with some friends in between the eighth grade and ninth grade. We went there to visit his some family, but I love that area. I mean, I just love Louisiana. It was such a great. It wasn't New Orleans, but it was just the people. I liked them a lot, and it was just I just had a great time.
yeah, Lafayette is a completely different culture than New Orleans because it's Cajun. So it's a
Right.
lot different. It's a lot different, and they talk like this, masha. No, no, don't do that,
Yeah.
masha. Yeah, so
We
it, yeah, yeah, it's got a very Cajun French slant, but it's not the same as New
I
Orleans.
love that.
New Orleans has it actually has more of a New York, New Jersey kind of sound, but we draw it out a little bit more, you know. So yeah, it's weird.
That
Anyway,
city's also so ancient too. I've heard it's just a romantic city, but also just so historically fascinating.
which one, Lafayette
New
or New
Orleans, New
Orleans?
Orleans.
Yeah.
New
Oh
Orleans.
yeah, there's some old stuff like I mean, and there's a lot of history and culture in the buildings, the architecture, even the bars are their history because
Right,
we're a port city, so
that's
there's
it.
a lot. There's a lot.
You know,
Yeah,
Deanna, have you heard
good
of
times. Yes.
a movie called A Streetcar Named Desiree?
It's are you being funny, bunny?
Yeah,
Yes, I have heard.
that's from New
It's
Orleans.
a street. It's a streetcar named Desire,
That's it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
and yes, Tennessee
Not that
Williams.
funny.
That's a play by Tennessee Williams. It takes place
Uh-huh.
here. Marlon
And
Brando
Marlon
starred in
Brando
it.
was in it.
Yes.
but
Yeah, I am
How
familiar.
true is that, though?
Well, it is very true if you lived in like 1920. Pretty true.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I just want to say one more thing, if that's okay. I just want to say that, Bunny, I don't know what is pushing you or what is deciding factor for you to leave. I don't know, but I hope you don't leave. But if you do leave, I just want to say thank you for all the invitations to the shows, and it was really great. And I think you're a great guy, and knowing that you're so young, you're going to you're going to be fine. Congratulations on your sobriety, but also you are going to be a massive success. I'm sure of that. Thank you, Deanna, for letting me
Nice.
talk.
Thank you. Oh, you're welcome. I'm going to just clap live so I don't have to go through all the stuff. Okay. So, anybody else have anything left that they would like to add? We're going to probably wrap up here because my voice is not great. I am actually dealing with COVID right now. So, go me. Deanna has COVID finally. So, I'm getting scratchy. But if anybody else has anything to say, add to this before we end up. If not, I'm going to wrap up. Deborah, you have anything else you want to add?
I just want to say thank you again. I mean, we can all laugh, and we probably will laugh after this because we need to laugh after trauma. We have to. I wrote 2 one-person shows. One won a festival about me trying to have a baby with my wife, and
Okay.
I called it A Womb with a View, and it was very traumatic for us not to succeed. But I wrote a really funny show about it. But it was really informative, and I think we do need to turn pain and trauma into art and laughter. And so that's why I love this show.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And honestly, I just want people to know, like, even if this show doesn't bring you to laughter at the end, what I want you to understand is that you can see that there's a place in your life that you will get to, and it will be there. It will be there, I promise. And remember it. Remember what it felt like to laugh when you were a kid and just start working towards it. I mean, it's there for you. Believe me, it's there for you. Um, Bunny, you have anything you want to add to wrap up before I close up?
What's that?
This man and his clips.
I do love clips. I mean, it's all because of Deborah Barsha. She is my hero that I'm just now meeting, and I think we can all learn a lot from everyone here.
Yeah.
From your story, from Wendy's story. That's probably a powerful one.
Yeah, she's got stories. It's hard to get her to talk about it because she just doesn't want to dwell on that, and I get it. And so,
It's
but
hard
when
to
you
get
get
her to
the
stop to talking about it.
right, but then once you get her, adding her little pieces in, if she can drop it
Yeah.
in throughout other things,
Yes.
it is
Yeah.
cathartic, I think, for her. Okay, well, Bunny, I want to thank you for
Laughter after
allowing
trauma, everyone.
I want to thank you for coming and allowing
No,
me,
thank
pushing me to have
you.
you on the show, but
Yeah, of
allowing
course,
me
right?
and trusting me with your story. I really
I
appreciate it.
definitely did. I mean, what a great promotions we had for it. Like, oh my god.
Okay.
Like,
So, and I think we're going to end it here. I mean, do you
yeah,
have
we are.
do you, all right, great.
I'll
So, with
just
that being
keep
said,
them coming back for more.
right, right. I want to say to you, Bunny, I see you. You are beautiful. And I want everybody in the audience to know that that's how I feel about you too. And like you said, Bunny, you want to see the good, and mostly people are good. Okay,
Yeah.
so there is
You
beauty,
are
and
definitely
mostly that
good
is the trace.
now. Yes. I
Yes,
now understand that. I now,
right.
just what you were saying, like, listen to that internal voice. I developed that after making mistakes. But you have to see the bad before the good. But
Yeah,
thank you very much.
yeah. All right, thanks, Bunny, for coming up. And until next time, I want everybody shine on, and we'll see you again, as Wendy likes to say, and Fallon, live on Fireside. Okay, I'm going to remove myself from video. I'm going to play one of my husband's songs, and you guys feel free to exit whenever you feel like it. Thanks for being here, everybody. I appreciate you.
Like your lazy side. Fairy wing disguise. When your life is scary, I'm your huckleberry, never fear. You can find me here. Subtle sentencing. Watch me when I dream.